Hello, welcome to Aces Wild. This is our second episode following the first week of action in the Ace of Spades season, and we have a lot to talk about. I think first off, you'll remember that this is our first season with a weekly winner prize. So our first weekly winner, should be noted, was also our first person to top 200 points in league history in a week. That's Connor McPeak, so a big congrats to Connor. You'll be getting $10 for that performance, although you haven't paid me your league fees. So, get at me. We got to get that handled. You can't be earning money when you're not paying money. Come on, man. But yeah, with the new scoring system in place, we saw 9 out of 12 teams eclipse the 100-point mark, which last year, we all know, getting over 100 was huge. This year, 3/4 in the first week did it. So we're going to see a different kind of season here, and it's something to look forward to. It's fun seeing those big scores. Well, let's dive right into it. We have a lot to cover today. We got, let's see here. We got the wire, the match for the week. We have power rankings, first of the season. We have a one-on-one with the one and only Andrew Peddenpohl. And of course, the tweet of the week. Let's get to it right now. All right, I think we spent a little bit too much time last week on the wire, so I'm going to highlight just a few things that stick out to me this week. Number one would be the Julius Thomas sweepstakes, which Richie dropped a big 25 on to win. Number two would be the Roy Halou incident, as I like to call it, of September 11th, where Richie picked Roy Halou up for $6 and then dropped him the same day, a waste of $6. And the third is Shane Vereen going to waivers after a very effective first week being hurt. Chris Campbell had to lose him. The last thing that I want to talk about is something that has struck the league as controversy, and I brought in somebody very special to talk about his perspective of that incident. I'm talking, of course, about the trade between Chris Campbell and Tim's team, Team 3 Seashells. I got Tim joining us here today to kind of explain his side. Tim, walk us through your end of the trade.
Okay, Dave. So Monday night, I'm sitting there watching Monday Night Football with no quarterback and no players left. Playing Quay. Quay has RG3 and I believe Philip Rivers. So he's got a quarterback going in each of the games. I'm losing 56. I have 56 points, and I'm sitting there hoping that A, both quarterbacks throw a couple picks, and B, are immediately taken out of the game, either with an injury or just pulled. I didn't think that was going to happen, so I got online. I saw a couple offers from Rob, one from CC. I actually did not like either of them, so I think in a knee-jerk reaction, I put the Chris Johnson and Reggie Wayne for Tannenhill, and I believe Gio Bernard. Apparently that was not a popular one. I think I knew it as soon as I hit send. I think you pretty much started messaging me immediately. I believe some people started messaging you immediately, and then I started really wondering what I had done, and I saw the next several weeks just flush down the toilet of my fantasy league, not doing anything. It's something I enjoy doing, and it wasn't going to be there. Luckily, cooler head stepped in, and the trade was vetoed. I haven't talked to CC yet, see how he feels about that, but I'm really glad that it worked out. And currently, I got a deal pending with Rob for. I'm going to be giving up Reggie Wayne for Alex Smith. I do believe he has accepted that, so it's pending league approval, and hopefully by Friday, Alex Smith will be on Team 3 Seashells. We'll see how it goes the rest of the season.
All right, let's talk really quickly about what you did propose to CC before we move on. So what in your mind, what did he offer you, I guess, that made you think you had to give up Reggie Wayne and Chris Johnson and to get a quarterback in return and then a running back with potential?
Some of these trades that I was seeing offered involved Trent Richardson, and that's just somebody that I really wasn't willing to move. I think ultimately it just came down to a knee-jerk reaction. I think that I panicked, and I'm glad it didn't go through.
Gotcha. That makes more sense that Chris Johnson was thrown in than if Richardson was the requested. I can see where you're going with that, but I don't think it would have been fair to the competitiveness of the league, and that was what we kind of ended up hearing. I talked to the 10 owners individually that weren't part of the trade, and it did not pass. It was a 7-3 vote against. So that's kind of where that stood.
I'm surprised he even got 3 votes.
Yeah, I think there's still some sentiment that, hey, I mean, obviously you needed a QB, but yeah, I think people were just like, hey, whatever he has to do to get that, he has to do that. So I think that's where those 3 votes came from. And I agree with that to an extent. I mean, I think obviously still giving up Reggie Wayne for Alex Smith is a high price to pay, but it's, at least it's fair within the terms of the league. And that's, I think, why we had the 7 votes against it. Like, people know you're going to pay a premium, but, that yours was a king's ransom probably. Okay, interesting stuff there from Tim. Nice perspective on the first controversy of the season. If you want to see the full interview, I'm going to put a link to that below this video, and we're going to hear from him later about the state of his team. So moving on to the matchup of the week. Last week's matchup winner was Chris Campbell against Oral Raping, and he is again pegged in one of the more interesting matchups I see versus Finkel's Einhorn. Both went over 100 last week. Chris had 150. Finkel's Einhorn had 117. Another matchup that I thought was intriguing is the McPeak matchup, and that's going to see Connor, the #1 scorer last week, matching up against his dad, Guru of Dew. And I kind of want to see here what happens, because Connor seemed to probably level out a little bit. Manny can't throw 7 TDs every week. Bolton can't go nuts like that every week. Welker, also a 2-touchdown game. So as he levels out, I want to see how he does, and I want to see if Richie's team has kind of grown with the moves he's made on the waiver wire. The matchup of the week, though, is myself versus Quay. Sports Concern versus Straight Cash Homie. It is the only battle of the unbeatens this week, which is one reason. The second is because it is literally 0.5 apart in projections, 0.51. So it's very close on how it's matched up. We're going to see 3 of the second-year standout QBs playing, RG3, Wilson, and Luck, and we're going to see if Rivers can keep up that 4-touchdown performance he had in the first week. It's just a very close matchup, and that is why it is my matchup of the week. Okay, let's do some power rankings. Yes, let's do this. Oh, it's going to be great. Number 12, Team 3 Seashells. He's going to be starting Jake Locker and Alex Smith at QB, which is better than he had last week, but that kind of explains why he's at number 12. Although his lineup is rounded out nicely with Julio Jones, Dez Bryant, T. Rich, and Chris Johnson. He has potential. Number 11, the Guru of Dew. He's also the Guru of QBs with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. His receivers, though, are a little weak with Edelman could help him out this week. And he has Arian Foster, which is always good, but he's starting Isaac Redman at RB2. Still some work to do there. Number 10, this other guy who's going with the young QBs, Pryor and Manuel this week. He needs Calvin Johnson to get in the end zone. He has Spiller and Bush at RB, and that could help. Number 9 is Straight Cash Homie. He is our lowest ranked winning team. He has RG3, Phillip Rivers at QB. His receivers are something I wouldn't wish on any enemy, though. Wallace, Brown, and Stevie Johnson. I don't think there's a true number 1 there, but he has Martin and Lynch at RB. That could help him out. Number 8 would be Finkel is Einhorn, Tyler's team. Breeze, he's starting Ponder this week. He has a mixed bag of receivers, starting Hopkins. He has Torrey Smith and Colston, Ray Rice and Steven Jackson. And he's putting in Cameron, who had a big week on his bench last week. Number 7 is Oral Raping, John Pimpus, and his team has a nice mix of Eli Manning and Cam Newton at quarterback. They underperformed a little bit last week, Cam more so than Eli, but we saw Deshaun Jackson explode, Frank Gore and Jamal Charles. I think they're going to keep having big weeks, and Jimmy Graham's capable of almost anything. Number 6, Sports Concern. That would be me. Andrew Luck and Wilson, very, very sturdy QBs, and Fitz is showing that he is the elite receiver again. Roddy White's going to be out, so we have a little bit of a weaker receiving core with Andre Roberts and Emmanuel Sanders. Morris and McFadden. McFadden showed up nicely last week, but Morris is going to get some carries and hopefully look better in the future. Vernon Davis blew up. Hopefully he continues to be a top target in San Fran. Number 5, Cocaine Cowboys. Palmer is airing it out this year. He's got Cutler at QB. He's got the Cutler to Marshall combo, along with Floyd to Palmer combo at receiver. So that will be interesting. His running backs leave a little bit to be desired, with Ridley getting benched last week and Matthews in San Diego. So we'll just see how that develops this week. Number 4, this is our highest ranked team with a losing record, redshirt, Paulson Quina. Matt Ryan and Andy Dalton, nothing to mess with. His receivers are elite. Demaryius Thomas, AJ Green, and Hakeem Nicks. If Hakeem Nicks is your number 3 receiver, you're doing something right. His running backs, Jaqui Bell and David Wilson. Hopefully Wilson gets back on the field for him this week. Paul scored 164 last week and lost, so that was a tough break. And that is why I have him at number 4. Number 3, Chris Campbell. Kaepernick showed up big time against Green Bay, and Romo is always going to be throwing. Hopefully Dez Bryant is healthy for Romo this week. He has Jackson Decker and Miles Austin at receiver, and McCoy, who looked amazing in week 1, and Darren Sproles, who always touches the ball in New Orleans. Jared Cook also looked amazing. Things are looking bright for this franchise. Number 2 is Squirrel. Kyle Fallhaber, our man overseas. He has Matt Stafford and Matt Schaub, the Matt combo at QB. Andre Johnson did get the ball a lot in week 1. Victor Cruz and Cobb are going to continue to score touchdowns and long ones at that. Jones-Drew's due for a better week, and Forte looked great in that new offense. Gonzalez also going to see a lot of balls. This team is solid at number 2. And number 1, you just can't disrespect 200 points. Lil Rockefeller did exactly what his name describes. He spent a lot of money on Peyton Manning and AP, and they delivered for him. 7 touchdowns from Manning and 2, I believe, from Peterson. Maybe 3. I can't remember quite correctly. But Michael Vick was the real surprise. Good value for him. I think he paid about $20, and he looks like he is in an offense that is going to score a lot of points for Lil Rockefeller. If Bolden and Welker can keep up their production, this team is really tough at number 1. He just needs D'Angelo Williams to kind of help him out, and T.Y. Hilton in that 3rd receiver spot. So that is our first week of power rankings. Let me know what you think. I'm sure you disagree with a lot of it, but we don't have that much to go off of, and this is how I see it. Moving on, I had Andrew Peddenpohl on the line today for this week's one-on-one interview. I asked him about his team 3 Seashells, how he felt about them, and where he thought they were going. Here it is.
I'm excited. Hopefully this trade goes through, and I'll be able to start week 2 with 2 quarterbacks. Those would be Jake Locker and Alex Smith. Neither of them are what I call elite by any chance, but Alex Smith seems to have some weapons around him. I was able to keep Chris Johnson, and I still have Trent Richardson. I think those are both 1,000-yard backs. I think that Trent Richardson could very well be an all-pro this year. At tight end, I have Kyle Rudolph. I kind of was looking into him a little bit after the draft. I was kind of excited because he actually tied Jimmy Graham last year in the number of TD catches. So I think that if the Vikings do get into the red zone and they're just not going to pound it in with AP, that Kyle Rudolph could be Christian Ponder's go-to player. For my defense, I went with the Bengals. It might have been a little bit of a homer pick watching the preseason games and watching Hard Knocks. They didn't exactly show up in week 1 against the Bears, but hopefully maybe they can sharpen their teeth a little bit with the Steelers this week. I know that offense is not firing on full cylinders. And then at kicker, I have Janikowski. They're all the same to me, really. Last year I was picking up a kicker each and every week, depending on where I was at. So I'm going to still be watching mainly Philly, because I'm excited because I actually have Nick Foles on my bench. That offense does look pretty exciting from Monday Night Football. I don't know if he can run exactly the same offense as Vic with the option they're running, but all in all, I'm excited. I feel like I can actually compete from this point on. Where last week with 1 quarterback, it wasn't going to happen.
Where would you put your team if you had to rank them 1 through 12, 12 being the worst? what number do you give your team as it stands now without the trade?
Without the trade, I think it's dead last. I mean, in this league, with two quarterbacks, it's kind of a fluke. It's so passing heavy that when you have a guy like Peyton Manning going out there and scoring 7 touchdowns, it's hard for me to compete with just Jake Locker. This week they got ahead, and then he only passed for 125 yards, no touchdowns. So,
and where would you put your team if the trade goes through in that 12-team ranking?
It's hard to say. I mean, I hope I can compete. I really the new auction draft was new for me. It was exciting because it was nice to see not the first 2 rounds consist of just quarterbacks. But I think I have something to learn. Maybe next year do a couple more mock drafts just to get a better feel of what players are going for what price. So I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm excited. I was a little worried there. Monday I was a little concerned, but I think that I have a chance to compete each weekend now.
It is time now for my favorite segment of the show, the last segment, which is called the Tweet of the Week. Tweet of the Week this week comes from Connor McPeak in regards to his name change. I tweeted at him, the first team to hit 100 points in 2013, Connor McPeak with Manning, Welker, and AD. Gotta love auctions. Of course, he had not even begun to show what all he would do for the week, but he tweeted back, the big spending may just pay off. Call me Little Rockefeller. And that is his new team name. Okay, that's going to do it for our second episode of Aces Wild. Hope you enjoyed it. Please, feedback, help, whatever you want to do, let me know. We will figure out a way. We're looking forward to having Tyler Vordenberg on the podcast next week. And that's about it. I will see you on the digital gridiron.